Your thoughts are the architects of your destiny. I know this better than most. I've been in the fourth quarter with everything on the line, and I can tell you with absolute certainty that the game is won or lost right here, in your mind, long before the ball ever leaves your hands. Your thoughts are the unseen hands shaping your circumstances, crafting your opportunities, or building the walls of your own prison. And unless you take control of your thinking, life will take control of you. That is not a motivational line, that is a fact I have lived. No man, no athlete, no competitor, no human being has ever risen to greatness by allowing his mind to become a playground for negativity. If you are going to rise, if you are going to transform your life into the image of your highest vision, then you must break free completely, decisively, and relentlessly from the prison of negative thought. Because negative thinking is not a mood, it is a cage. And the most brutal truth about that cage is that you built it yourself. You are the jailer and you don't even know it. I have seen men of tremendous potential destroy everything they were capable of becoming because they refused to guard their minds. They let fear become their closest companion. They let doubt become the loudest voice in the room. They let failure become the name they call themselves. But I have also seen ordinary men, men with no special gifts, no extraordinary circumstances, rise to levels that made the world stop and stare, simply because they chose to change the direction of their thoughts. That is the Mamba mentality. That is the difference, the only real difference, between the man who lives with purpose and the man who lives by accident. Your mind is fertile ground. Whatever seed you plant will grow. This is not philosophy, this is biology, it is psychology, it is the law of the mental game. Plant fear and fear multiplies until it fills every corner of your thinking. Plant resentment and bitterness takes root so deep you can't remember who you were before it. Plant hopelessness and despair becomes your permanent address. But plant belief and faith begins to bloom in places you never expected. Plant a vision and your body will follow it like a compass follows north. Plant gratitude and abundance begins moving towards you like a tide you cannot stop. The problem is never the soil. The problem is always the seed. And if your life has been producing rotten fruit, it is not because you were cursed. It is because you have been planting the wrong thoughts every single day without even realizing it. Negative thinking does not announce itself with a warning. It does not send you a message, it moves quietly. It begins with one complaint, one comparison, one small conclusion. I am not good enough. I will never have enough. It is too late for me. I am not built for this. And before you know it, you are living under a mental forecast that predicts rain on the clearest days. You wake up worried. You move through life expecting to fail. You don't trust your own instincts. You don't pursue the opportunity standing right in front of you. Not because you cannot, but because somewhere along the way you were convinced that you shouldn't, that you weren't worthy of it, that it wasn't for someone like you. I refuse that. I have always refused that, and you must too, because this can change, not through luck, not through circumstance, not through waiting for the world to be kinder to you. It changes through mastery of the one power that no person, no situation, no failure, no loss can ever take from you. The power to choose what thoughts you will feed and what thoughts you will starve. No matter your background, no matter what has been taken from you, no matter how many times you have been knocked down, you can decide what thoughts you will cultivate. And that decision, made with faith and executed with iron discipline, will transform your reality completely. Understand this at your core. Thought is the foundation of all achievement. Every building that touches the sky, every invention that changed the world, every championship, every comeback, every fortune ever created began first as an invisible idea in someone's mind. That is where it all begins. And if you allow your mind to be dominated by the negative, you cut yourself off from the source of everything. All creativity, all inspiration, all forward motion. Negativity is not simply unpleasant to live with, it is dangerous. It paralyzes potential before potential ever gets a chance to prove itself. It blinds you to opportunities that are sitting right in front of your face. It makes the present feel unbearable and the future feel completely out of reach. You cannot afford to be careless with your thoughts. You cannot afford to let negativity live in your mind without paying rent. Treat your mind like sacred territory. Guard it, protect it, discipline it, feed it, because whatever you allow to stay there will grow roots. And once it takes root, it begins to shape your identity. And identity, I can tell you from everything I have lived, is destiny. So how do you break free? The first step is awareness. You must learn to observe the patterns in your thinking with the same precision and focus you would bring to studying an opponent. Notice what triggers the negativity. Is it failure? Is it rejection? Is it the success of someone else? The moment you catch it, you stop it cold. You say, this thought is not serving me. This thought is not aligned with who I am becoming. And then right there, you replace it with a declaration that builds instead of destroys. I am learning, I am growing, I am building something that matters. I am still in the fight, and I am moving forward. Some people will call that kind of thinking delusional. They will say you're being unrealistic. I call it discipline. I call it the work that happens in the dark before anyone else sees the result. Every great transformation begins in the unseen realm of thought. You must learn to speak your vision until your mind absorbs it, until your body moves in alignment with it. until your life begins to reflect it back at you. This is not magic, this is mental conditioning, and it is available to every single person willing to commit to it. The second step is to refuse to dwell on what you cannot control. Negative thinking feeds on frustration, and frustration always comes from trying to manage something that was never in your hands to begin with. You cannot control the opinions of others. You cannot control the past. You cannot control what people say about you, or what obstacles the world throws in your direction. But you can always control your response, and your response is born from thought. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me, you ask, what can I learn from this? How do I grow from this? How do I take this exact adversity and turn it into an advantage? Because I've always believed that inside every setback, every loss, every moment that breaks lesser people, there is a seed of something greater, but only if your mind is trained to look for it. The man who sees failure as feedback never stays down. The man who sees struggle as sharpening will never be broken by pressure. The man who understands that thoughts become things will never again think casually or carelessly. And the third step is to immerse yourself in the positive, not only when the energy is high and the momentum is rolling, especially when it is not. Your environment shapes you. The words you speak, the books you feed your mind, the people you choose to stand beside, the voices you allow into your inner world, all of it becomes the food your mind runs on. And your mind, exactly like your body, becomes what it consistently consumes. If you feed it gossip and fear and distraction and the noise of people who have already quit, it will become weak, anxious, and completely unfocused. But if you feed it truth, vision, and relentless possibility, it will become bold, locked in, and unshakable. Every single morning, before the world can get to you, you feed your mind with purpose. You read something that uplifts the standard. You speak something that sharpens the focus. You write something that brings your vision into clarity. This is how you command the day. Because if you do not direct your own mind, the world will direct it for you. And the world will not be gentle. Your thoughts shape your beliefs. Your beliefs drive your actions. Your actions produce your results. And your results, when repeated day after day, build the architecture of your reality. That is precisely why the most important battle you will ever fight is not out there in the open where people can see it. It is in here, in the quiet space between your ears. Win that battle and everything else opens up. I have spent my entire life training for the visible moments, but the real training was always for the invisible ones. The moments alone in the dark where the only voice you hear is your own. That voice is either your greatest coach or your cruelest enemy. You decide which one it becomes every day with every thought you choose to feed. See your mind as a garden. Every thought is a seed. Every belief is a root system running deep beneath the surface. Every action is the fruit the world eventually sees. If you plant negativity, you will harvest doubt so thick it feels like certainty. If you plant faith, you reap a courage that does not flinch. If you plant purpose, you generate a power that does not ask for permission. So I am asking you directly, what have you been planting? And are you truly willing to dig up every root of fear, every weed of self-pity, every thorn of regret that has been draining your energy, and replace it all with seeds of disciplined belief and relentless forward movement? This is not comfortable work. I have never told anyone that the real work would be comfortable, but it is necessary, because nothing changes in your life until something changes in your mind. You can work harder, you can run faster, you can shake more hands and make more moves, but if your thinking is poisoned, your progress will be too. The outer life cannot travel further than the inner life is willing to grow. I live that truth every single day of my career, so I am challenging you. Break free from the lie that your past defines the ceiling of what you can become. Break free from the illusion that the fear you feel is permanent. Break free from the deeply ingrained habit of doubting your own greatness. And choose today, right now in this moment, to think in alignment with the man you are in the process of becoming, not the man you were in your weakest moment. Because when you shift your thinking, you shift your frequency. When you shift your frequency, you change the direction of your entire life. And when you change direction with intention and discipline, success does not wait for you to catch up. It begins moving towards you. The world is not waiting for a perfect version of you. It is waiting for a disciplined thinker, a conscious builder, a man who has made the uncompromising decision to rise above the mental noise and walk forward with complete clarity and purpose. That man already lives inside you. Every single time I stepped onto that court, I had to remind myself of who I had already decided to be. And that reminder came from thought. Disciplined, intentional, purpose-driven thought. The man who masters his thoughts becomes the master of his world. Not because he controls everything around him, but because he has absolute command over the one thing that matters above all else. How he interprets every experience, how he responds to every obstacle, how he transforms every setback into fuel. That is the turning point. The moment you stop allowing your thoughts to run your life and you begin running them yourself, you are no longer a victim of what happens to you. You are the architect of what you build from it. Never underestimate what a single dominant thought, held with absolute faith, repeated with iron conviction, and chased with relentless action can build. One idea believed deeply enough can outperform 1,000 intentions never backed by courage. The opposite is equally true and far more dangerous. One negative thought, given a home in your mind and left unchallenged, can silently dismantle years of effort. One moment of unchecked doubt, if nurtured even slightly, becomes a habit, and the man with a habit of doubt has surrendered his own throne. The only real difference between the man who creates under pressure and the man who collapses under it is this: how he thinks when things fall apart. Anyone can stay positive when the momentum is moving and the results are showing. The true test is what happens in the dark, when the plan fails, when no one is watching, when all you have is your own voice. That voice is either training you or betraying you, and you determine which one it becomes every day, every moment, every single thought. If you do not intentionally program your mind to speak life, the world will program it to speak limitation. You will absorb the doubts of people who gave up on their own dreams. You will inherit the fears of a society that is settled. You will let the noise of the outside world become the script of your inside world. But none of that is yours unless you choose to claim it. You were not born to think small. You were not assembled to be afraid. You were not built to live at the mercy of your emotions or the judgment of people who never bet on themselves. You were built to command your life, and that command begins in your mind. The first command is this: I will no longer entertain the thoughts that weaken me. I will no longer carry beliefs that shrink my potential. I will no longer think like a man without power when I am the creator of my future. You must develop what I call mental immunity. Just as the body fights infection, the mind must fight destructive thought. You do this not through force, but through absolute focus, through intention repeated daily until it becomes automatic. You decide what thoughts earn residency in your mind, and if something enters that does not serve your mission, you eliminate it immediately, not gently. Immediately you replace it with truth, you override it with purpose. This is not denial, this is design. You are not pretending the problem does not exist. You are refusing to give the problem more power than it deserves. Ask yourself one question and let it become your daily compass. What would the strongest version of me think right now? Not the exhausted version, not the wounded version, not the version that is still listening to old voices from old chapters. The clearest, most focused, most unshakable version of you. What would he believe in this moment? What would he choose to focus on? That question will redirect your entire energy when everything in the environment is trying to pull it somewhere small. Every single day you wake up, life presents you with two choices. Think in alignment with your vision, or think in alignment with your limitations. And whichever you choose consistently will become your reality without exception. This is not theory, this is the law of belief in action. The man who is convinced he is destined to fail will subconsciously move in patterns that guarantee it. The man who believes with unshakable certainty that he is worthy of greatness will move through the world with an entirely different energy. And that energy becomes the frequency on which success travels. Never allow a negative thought to take up permanent residence in your mind. Challenge it, dismantle it, replace it. Raise your standards until that thought no longer recognizes the person it is trying to break down. Because thoughts are like uninvited guests. They stay as long as you allow them. The moment you make it clear they are no longer welcome, they lose all power. And that moment is when real freedom begins. Not the freedom the world can give you, but the freedom that comes from inside, from mastering the relationship between who you are and what you allow yourself to think. How often are you speaking life directly over your vision? How consistently are you declaring your goals with clarity, emotion, and certainty? Because what you say to yourself operates at the same level as what you think. Words are thoughts made visible. Words are seeds with sound. If you plant powerful declarations consistently, you build a foundation of confidence that no external pressure can crack. Every single day, declare who you are becoming, not based on what happened yesterday, based on your purpose, not based on the fear you feel, based on the faith you have chosen. Declare it and mean it. I am focused, I am capable, I am rising, I am still here, and I am still building. This is not empty motivation, this is neurological reprogramming. This is the conditioning that creates the gap between the man who wishes and the man who manifests. Do not wait for circumstances to improve before you change the quality of your thinking. That backwards logic has trapped more people than any external obstacle ever could. You must think differently first. The circumstances will respond to the energy of your new thinking. The opportunity will surface because your mind is now clear enough to recognize it. The results will follow, but only after you begin thinking like the man who has already decided he will have them. This is the art of becoming, and I will be completely direct with you. It demands work. It requires relentless vigilance. You will not become a master of your own thinking by accident or by hoping the world gets easier. You must train your mind every single day with the same ferocity and obsession that I brought to every workout, every film session, every early morning before anyone else was awake. You must be more committed to your mental strength than you are to your comfort. Because negativity is seductive, it is easy, it asks nothing of you. But comfort is the silent enemy of every person who has ever had a vision bigger than their current circumstances. And your life will not expand beyond the edges of your thinking. It never will. You must want this badly enough to confront yourself with honesty. You must want it enough to break the patterns that have been rehearsed so long they feel like personality. You must want it enough to stop feeding the doubt and start feeding the destiny. Say it and mean every word, no more. No more small thinking. No more playing the victim of your own story. No more letting fear write the script of a life I was built to author. That chapter is finished. And the new one begins with a single decision made right now. I will become the thinker who commands results. I will become the believer who acts on faith even when the outcome is not guaranteed. I will become the man whose thinking is so anchored in purpose that nothing around him can shake what is built inside him. Because when you think with purpose, you move with power. And when you move with power, success is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. It is not the man with the best idea who ultimately wins. It is the man with the strongest mind, the mind that does not fold under pressure, the mind that does not negotiate with self-doubt, the mind that absolutely refuses to betray its own vision. That mind belongs to you if you are willing to claim it and build it every single day. Build it with every thought you choose, with every word you speak over yourself, with every moment you decide not to accept anything less than the standard of a champion. Break free once and for all from the weight of negative thinking, because your mind is the gateway, your thoughts are the key, and the destiny you were built for is not waiting for you to be perfect. It is waiting for you to be decided. The moment you decide you will no longer live beneath the weight of thoughts that diminish you, everything begins to shift. Not all at once, not immediately visible to everyone around you, but something inside you changes in a way that is permanent. Your posture straightens, your focus sharpens, your energy becomes something that cannot be ignored. And from that decision forward, you begin to live as a man who is no longer under the control of fear, doubt, or the voice of limitation that was never telling you the truth anyway. This is the transformation, not a temporary burst of motivation, not a passing feeling of inspiration, complete internal revolution, a rebuilding from the inside out. I want your thinking to become so saturated with vision, so aligned with purpose, that negativity genuinely cannot survive in your presence. Because when your thinking is clean, nothing can shake your foundation. When your mind is fortified, every storm becomes a sharpening stone. You were not made to drift. You were not born to react to life and call it living. You were created with power, with extraordinary capability, with the capacity to think and choose and build a life that honors everything you were designed to be. But that life waits on one thing: your willingness to accept responsibility for the quality of your thinking. There is no neutral thought. Every single one is either moving you toward the life you want or reinforcing the life you are trying to escape. The man who understands this stops treating his thoughts like entertainment and starts treating them like the most powerful tools he owns. When you break free from negative thinking, you stop negotiating with weakness. You stop rehearsing your limitations out loud. You stop giving excuses the space to breathe, and you start walking in full alignment with the man you were designed to be. That man does not speak like someone who has already been defeated. He speaks like someone who has already decided. He does not shrink from resistance. He sharpens against it. He does not mourn what he lacks. He creates with absolute precision from what he has right now. Negativity will always try to tell you that you are not enough, that the window is closed, that the mistakes you made have become permanent walls. But that voice is not the voice of truth. It is the voice of the past trying to write the future. And as long as you listen to it, you will live inside it. But the past has nothing new to offer. It can only replay what already happened. If you want a new life, you must change what you are tuned into. You must lock into the frequency of purpose. And purpose speaks a very different language. Purpose says you are still in the game. Purpose says one move, the right move, made from the right mindset, can change everything. Purpose says you were built for more than this. And when you feed that voice, when you meditate on that truth until it becomes the automatic response to every challenge and every setback, something will rise inside you that feels less like motivation and more like memory. You will remember who you are. You will remember that you have always had the power to direct the course of your life. And that memory breaks every chain. You do not fight negative thoughts by wrestling with them. You outgrow them. You make them irrelevant by expanding your vision beyond anything they are capable of containing. You replace every fearful thought with a faithful one, every weak assumption with a declaration of strength, every excuse with a new and higher expectation of yourself. This is the real work, the quiet, daily, relentless discipline of rebuilding your internal world until the external world has no choice but to rearrange itself around it. You do not rise by accident. You rise by the accumulation of disciplined choices made when no one is watching, by consistently choosing belief over doubt, purpose over pain, action over hesitation, clarity over confusion, and the more you choose it, the more automatic it becomes. Until the old version of you, the one who accepted limitation as identity, genuinely feels like a stranger, a shadow of someone you used to know. Imagine commanding your mind the moment you open your eyes, declaring with full conviction, "Today I will think with power, I will speak with precision, I will act with absolute clarity." Fear will not drive my decisions today. Negativity will not author my story today. That is how a man of vision begins his day. That is the standard. That is the Mamba mentality lived in the most important arena that exists, the one inside you. The world does not respond to complaints, it responds to creation. And creation begins with a thought. Thought becomes imagination. Imagination stretches into vision. Vision sharpens into strategy. Strategy fuels action, and action, repeated with relentless belief and unwavering faith, becomes the results that build a life worth living. So if the results you have are not the results you want, then the thinking you have is not the thinking you need. Change the thinking first. Everything else follows.